So I'm Sam Franklin. My pronouns are she and they, and I'm an intuitive life coach and soul guide. I'm also a psychotherapist as well. So you'll hear some about that on my own journey as I talk about today some parts of my own trying to figure out how to live a soul aligned life. Um, in the work that I do, my biggest thing is about helping people step into who they truly are and be their most authentic self, which I feel like is very much connected to living a soul aligned life. But before we get into like, what does that even mean to live a soul aligned life? I'd love to hear from all of you. What do you think it means to be in alignment with your soul, to live a soul aligned life? Like, these are just words that we throw around sometimes, right? Like, but like, what does that actually mean to you? Divinely connected. Mm-hmm. Follow my passion. What am I meant to do? Living the way you feel led instead of what someone else says you should do. At peace with my present path. Yeah, these are all great. Um, in alignment with my purpose, my soul self, balancing my human and spirit self. Yeah, that's hard to do. That finding that balance of remembering that we chose to come here as a human and live a human life, but not get too caught up in that we forget that we're also souls. And we'll definitely talk about that too, because that when we get so much in our human self, that's when sometimes I think we can kind of get off the soul line path. Um, but we also don't want to stay too much in here and kind of do things like spiritual bypassing and stuff that Amber talked about. Yara, you said highest soul purpose and human experience living. Yeah. So something that my guides have shown me through different readings that I've done, because I work with the Akashic Records, which is the energetic library of your soul. I work with angels, spirit guides, loved ones. In my sessions with people, I kind of welcome in this whole spirit team. And so I learn a lot through these sessions as well, not just people that I'm working with. And one of the things that they've shown me in kind of a humorous way, because they're like, okay, we'll put it in human terms of like what happens before you come into this life. Like, what does your soul do? And they were showing me this like book that like people will like sift through, souls will sift through and be like, what do I want out of this life? Like maybe I want a little of that, a little of that. Like, ooh, that could be fun. Or like, oh, that could be a challenging experience, but like, yes, I want that. And I'm gonna have these people like this soul and this soul help me in this experience. So we're gonna make an agreement. And so all this is like happening before we come into this human life. And so this idea of living a soul aligned life means kind of living that path out, the things that your soul wanted to achieve, wanted to learn, lessons that you wanted to learn. Um, this experience is about soul growth, and we also come in here with a soul purpose. So if we're living in alignment with our soul, we're kind of making all that stuff happen. When we get off that path, it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just like some of those opportunities may be missed, or it might take us a little bit longer to get to that next stage in our life. The other thing that my guides have shown me is if we were to look at our life path as like there's these main points along the way that we get to, and there's a lot of routes to get to each point. Some was like the scenic route, some was like shortcuts, some are more challenging than others. So there's not like a wrong choice, and we're not truly on like the wrong path. It's just like maybe we're meandering for a while before we get to the next stop. And that just, it is what it is. Like it's not like good or bad, but it just might take us longer to maybe achieve some of these points along the way. So that's what my guides have shown me. So let's talk about what it feels like to live in alignment with your soul and what happens when you are out of alignment. So when we're feeling aligned, we often like feel energized, or I think someone said passionate, or um, we feel joyful, like things maybe are flowing, maybe like things are just kind of falling into place. We might feel like it's easier to be our authentic selves. When we're out of alignment, what it can look like or feel like is like feeling restless. Maybe we might notice like anxiety or depression, or kind of feeling like blah, like something's missing. We might have self-doubt, might feel stuck or disconnected. And I'm wondering for all of you, like, what are things that you've noticed for yourself of when you're in alignment with your soul and when you're out of alignment? Like, what have been those signs for you? How did it feel? What was happening? Grumpy. Yeah. Depression, feeling stuck. hmm Much sadness, frustration. hmm When I'm in alignment, everything is just easier. When I'm out of alignment, I'm a big grump and nothing goes right. Yeah, if you feel like you're kind of like moving through mud, or you feel like you're forcing things, like you're trying to strong arm life, it's probably you're not really in alignment. Like you're not listening to your soul or your intuition. You're kind of maybe in your head or listening to society's expectations. Um, Someone said lost and undirected. Walking through peanut butter. Yeah. Um, Yara, when in alignment, happier, flow, adventure. Oh, I like that word adventure and creative. And out of alignment, dysregulated, feeling stuck, doubtful, sad. Yeah, as souls, we're like naturally creative. I know a lot of people are like, I'm not creative. It doesn't have to look like what you would stereotypically think of. I was working with someone and they're like, I'm not creative, but they were talking about how they would like throw these like parties and make these plans. And I was like, you don't think throwing parties is creative? Like you came up with like an idea and you had decorations, like that feels super creative. You don't have to be like a painter or a musician. Yeah, strong arm life. That was my totally my past go-to. Yeah, I still do that sometimes, right? Trying to control things. It's hard to let go of that. And I think when we're living in alignment with our soul, it's easier to let go of that. There's like this sense of peace or trust. Like even when things maybe don't quite, they're not in the way that like I'm expecting it to go or would like it to go in my human self, it still feels like maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. Um, let's see, someone else put when in alignment, life flows, and out of alignment, there are obstacles. Yeah. I'll also add that like sometimes I think in like spiritual circles and communities we'll think of like if we're in love and light all the time, that means we're in alignment. And if somehow we're not, then we're out of alignment. And that's not true. We can still be experiencing hard stuff or emotions like sadness or grief and anger and still be in alignment with our soul. I'll give an example. So when I was in high school, I realized and came out that I was gay, and then I was trying to pick a college, and I was looking at a number of colleges, and the one that like when I stepped on campus, I was just like, I think I'm supposed to go here. Like I just can't explain it, but like there's just a feeling. It was the most Catholic and conservative out of all of them. And I remember sitting down with my parents and being like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Like maybe this is not the right choice. Like I'm just not sure if I can be my full self, if I'll be accepted, but I just couldn't shake this feeling that's where I was supposed to be. And now that I've kind of had this spiritual awakening and really looked at my life from a spiritual lens, I've been able to look at it and be like, that was no mistake. Like I was supposed to do that. That was part of my soul's path. There's a reason for that. It makes so much sense of like what I do now and how I help people. And so it didn't mean that like I had a great time in college. Like in some ways, yes. But there was challenges along the way. But it didn't mean that I was living out of alignment with my soul. I was still listening to it, even though there was hard times. So I think the kind of the biggest factor in living in alignment with our soul is listening to our soul, to its guidance, which means being connected to our intuition, which means me being connected to our body. I know Amber talked about that in her workshop of our body is such a key factor in being able to know what's going on with us emotionally, with our intuition, with our soul. That's how we get messages. Think of it as like a radio, like radio stations are always emitting signals. And if we have a radio and a good antenna and it's working great and we can tune in, we can hear the radio, what the channels, what's coming through. That is our body. And if we're not connected to our body, then we're not really getting the signals, even though our soul's trying to send us messages, our spirit guides are always doing that, our loved ones. So if we're not tuned into our body, we're missing the signals. Yeah, alignment always means growth, which is rarely easy. Yeah, there's this term in like therapy land that's called post-traumatic growth. And it means like growth comes from really hard or challenging experiences. Think about anything that you've been through in life that's been really challenging. I'm sure like has shaped you into who you are today, good and bad, right? But it's you probably learned something from it, even though it was challenging. Another example that I'll give that's like when I was out of alignment is just kind of waking up every day and feeling restless, like something was missing, kind of feeling blah. Um, just like, what am I doing with my life? Kind of feeling like asleep at the wheel of my life. So being in alignment with your soul is like being awake. And if you've been through a spiritual awakening, whether that's currently happening now or it's happened in the past, you'll know what that means, like to finally kind of be awake to life. What are things that get in the way for all of you of being connected to your soul, of living in alignment with your soul and your truth and your intuition? What are those barriers? Feel free to put it in the chat. Tina, myself. Yeah, I mean, we can really self sabotage, get in our own ways for so many reasons. Maybe not believe in ourselves. Kelly, not staying in the present moment, allowing myself to drift to the past or the future. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so easy in our human selves to live in either the past or the future. The past, maybe there's regret, maybe it feels like that was better times. In the future, we're worried about what's going to happen. And what that means is if we're living in either of those, we're not really living here in the present moment. And we're probably then not as connected to our body and missing things. Allowing my ego to have much power. Yeah. I mean, we have our ego for a reason, right? It's protective, but sometimes it can be maybe a little bit too protective and maybe lead us to do things that we, are actually also harmful at the same time to ourselves. Um, Distractions of human life, like kids and their problems. Yeah, Melanie. I mean, human life, there's so many things, like paying bills, just like day to day stuff. It's easy to get caught up in that. Um, and again, get disconnected from ourselves, just like going through the motions. Fear, scarcity thoughts. Yeah, fear of so many things. I know Teresa talked about this too with like authentic self. Fear of like, what are other people gonna think? Um, Fear of like, what if people really knew us? Like choosing to do something that you feel like lights up your soul. Like maybe it's choosing to wear a certain type of outfit or change your career. Well, what are people going to think? Are they going to think I'm crazy? Are they going to think I look stupid? That can really get in the way. Um, Letting our vibe down. Yeah. Being in my body more. Yep. Believing my thoughts at times. Ooh, yeah. Overthinking, living in our mind. That definitely can happen. And think about when we're living up here in our mind or out here, even like not disconnect to our body at all. Like we're not living in here, like our heart center, our soul, that connection. And our thoughts can tell us things, um, maybe mean things about ourselves. And that's maybe where self doubt can also come up. It is okay to go up and down. Some weeks are more spiritual. Yeah, we're not going to live perfectly in alignment with our soul like every single day, every waking hour. It's kind of like when people talk about mindfulness, like we can't do that every moment of every day. I can't be mindful of everything that I do. Like it would take me probably forever to get anything done. Like sometimes I just got to like zone into human life, or, reflect on the past and taking care of others and not making yourself a priority. Yes, 100%. It can be so easy to engage in people pleasing. That's something that can get in the way and really sometimes get lost in our roles or our identities. So sometimes I'll work with clients and they'll say, I've been a parent and a partner for all these years. Now my kids have left the house and I feel like it's my time, but like I don't even know who I am. Like I don't even know what I want. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. I feel like this is a new chapter, but like a new chapter of what? I've gotten so good at what I've been doing, but it also means like I've lost myself along the way because I was putting other people first. And I think that's a good quality to have, just like taking care of other people or being empathetic. And sometimes we can take that so much to an extreme that we lose ourselves. Yeah, these are all really good barriers that can get in the way. It can be really hard to drown out the noise of everything internally, like our mental chatter, maybe core old beliefs that no longer work for us, but also the outside world. There's so many scripts and rules about how we're supposed to live as humans, that don't really kind of fit with our soul. Our soul has a uniqueness to it, right? We all have our authentic self. And the more that we can connect to our authenticity, the more that we can live in alignment with our soul. So I'll also kind of share a little bit about kind of the fears and things, an example from my own life, that like living out of alignment with my soul. So I found myself, how about like 10 years into my career as a therapist, just being like, what am I doing? Like I had gone into the field of psychology and that felt really in alignment. And then at some point, I think in grad school, I just started like checking off boxes, like graduate from grad school, check, get licensed as a therapist, check, move into private practice because that's what everyone else does, check. Then what's next? I guess own my own practice, check. And then I had this situation happen in my life where had this like spiritual awakening and kind of crisis. And I looked around, I was like, wait, do I actually want to be a therapist? Like, do I actually want to do this? And then I had a freak out moment of like, well, what if I don't want to do that? Like, this is a huge part of my identity. So many people know me as this. Um, I've just spent all this time and money doing that. And then, like, what if I don't? And I had to kind of drown all that out, quiet all that noise, and almost like walk away from that whole career before I was able to really get clear in my soul, like, no, this is part of my path. I do want to be a therapist. This is really important to me. But at somewhere along the way, I had lost like what I actually wanted and what everyone else expected of me. And that can be really scary, right? When you have those moments of like, do I even want to be doing this? Like, not just work, but do I want to be in this relationship? Do I even want to be living in this location? Um, and so the ways that we figure that out is by connecting to our soul. And there are a number of ways that we can do that. Meditation, going for walks in nature or being in nature. We kind of have to figure out a way to be in our body and to quiet all the noise. And that can be challenging for so many reasons. So, what are ways that all of you, how do you get in your body? Like what's grounding to you? What helps you center yourself and come into your body? Nature. Mm-hmm. And if you can't access nature, I encourage you, like, maybe you get a plant. Maybe you look at pictures of nature, right? Like, there's always like ways where sometimes I'm like, oh, I can't access that. There are so many other kind of like adjacent things you can do. Deep breathing exercises, outdoors, baths. Yeah. Walking on the earth. Yeah, that can be very grounding. Looking outdoors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, my acupuncturist had told me this was like kind of the height of the pandemic, and I was doing so much telehealth. And she was like, wow, you're like chi and your energy is like so depleted. Like you're just looking at a screen all day. And I was like, yep. She's like, just take every once in a while, take a break in between your sessions and look out your window. If there's nature like a tree, that's helpful just to kind of rejuvenate your energy. Taking a few deep breaths while holding on my heart. Yeah, putting your heart or putting your hand on different parts of your body can also be really helpful. Of like, if you notice, like, what does it feel like? Does it feel like my hand's cold or warm? Can I feel my heartbeat? Or maybe I hold myself. Can I feel like kind of that pressure? That can really help us to drop into our body. Being near water, even though I can't swim, showers or doing the dishes. Yeah, so you can find safe ways to be near water, Melanie. Sometimes like washing your hands, meditating and being creative, mm-hmm. Breathing, nature, sense, meditation, prayers. Yeah, smells are really powerful grounding tools. So whatever that is, whether it's like smell of someone that you love, maybe a perfume or cologne, candles. Yeah, there you go, Amber. Got some sense right there. Um, I go in my backyard and put bare feet in grass. Again, connecting to that like earth energy, which reminds me of like crystals, right? And stones and things. They can have really great grounding properties. I go to my peaceful place in my mind Well, that's such a great one, right? Like you don't always have to go anywhere. You could just take yourself to a safe place if that feels like it's really regulating for you. Connecting to nature, meditation, connecting to the elements, water, bath, air, somatic breathing, painting, hand over heart, and essential oils. Yeah, such a great list. For myself, I would add in dancing or some type of movement that helps me drop into my body. Weighted blanket. If I'm really struggling, I'll do that if I have like, if I go to do like a psychic fair or something like that, and I have like a long day of readings and I'm like floating, I'll like have a weighted blanket to kind of come back into my body. So these are all really great practices. So that's to get into your body. And these are also might do the other thing, which is to quiet the outside noise and the internal chatter. If you're in your thinking mind, you're not in your feeling mind or your intuitive mind, which your intuitive self, um, it's a different kind of language. And sometimes it can be hard to translate into our own like verbal and written language, but it comes to us in images and sounds and words like in our mind, and a knowing and feeling sensations, right? Those are the different clairs. That's how we get intuitive messages from our soul, from spirit guides, from angels. Then we also get signs around us like animals, numbers, coins, feathers, a song that just like pops on the radio. These are all ways that our soul and our guides are trying to get our attention to help us to stay on our path, to have opportunities come our way, to live out our gifts and our purpose, connect to our true self. And so we just have to pay attention and kind of make sure that we're not too in the humanness and kind of putting our head down and just in the grind. We have to find ways to take a step back. And so all these things that all of you named are great ways to do that too. Just want to pause here to see, are there any like questions or anything that people wanted to ask or anything that people wanted to share? Mm. So we're going to get into a meditation next, um, where we're going to connect with our soul and just see what that feels like, but also maybe get some messages and some guidance. So if you want to get comfortable, you're welcome to leave your camera on or turn your camera off. You can sit down or lay down. If you're someone that tends to fall asleep during meditations, I'd recommend sitting up. That might help you stay awake. If we're not used to our body relaxing, sometimes when our body relaxes, it's saying, "Oh, it's sleep time, so let's go to sleep." And if you fall asleep, not the end of the world. Your soul and spirit's still there. It's still doing something. So it's still taking in information, but sitting up can help you to stay awake. So feel free to get comfortable. Start to drop down into your body. So notice where your body's connecting with the floor or the chair, the seat below you, the ground. Notice where your body's making that contact and how that feels to feel supported. And you can close your eyes if you haven't already, if that feels comfortable, or just have a soft downward gaze, anything that helps you go inward. And start to take some deep breaths. Breathing in and exhaling through your mouth. Just letting any tension melt away. Taking some deep breaths in and letting it go, breathing out. Take one more deep breath, letting it go. And then let your breath start to return to normal. Come back to your body if you've moved away from it. Come back to where your body is feeling supported by the surface beneath you. Allow your shoulders to soften, sink down. Let your jaw relax. Let your face gently release. And take a moment to scan your body. Notice if there are any areas of tension, tightness, or heaviness. Breathe into those areas. And as you exhale, let that tension melt away. Sinking deeper into your body, more relaxed. And also notice where your body feels more open, relaxed, or at ease. Notice those areas and what that feels like. Now bring your awareness to your heart space, the center of your chest. And imagine or sense a radiant light there. This is the light of your soul, steady, present, and always guiding you. Just take a moment to notice how that feels. How does your soul feel? And how does it feel connecting to it? And with each breath in, feel this light gently expanding, filling your chest and eventually your whole body. Creating a sense of space and awareness within you. Now bring to mind a situation in your life. This could be a decision, a relationship, or something you've been navigating. Just let it come into your awareness. Trust whatever shows up. And as you hold this situation in your mind, bring your attention back to your body and notice how your body is responding. Do you feel openness, expansion, or ease? Or do you feel tightness, contraction, or discomfort? Just observe. This is your body and your soul communicating with you. And then ask your soul, what guidance do you have for me about this situation or relationship, decision, whatever it is that you're focusing on? What guidance do you have for me? And then notice what comes up. It may be a feeling, a word, an image, a knowing. Trust whatever comes. Check in with anything else your soul might be trying to communicate with you about whatever it is that you're focusing on. Again, paying attention to anything that shows up in your body or in your mind's eye, or maybe a knowing. Don't try to think too hard or make anything happen. And if you start to question it, just try to sink into whatever the message is. You can analyze it later. Thank your soul for this guidance. We'll ask your soul another question. How do I know that I'm living in alignment? What does a soul yes feel like to me? And then notice how that feels in your body. Or maybe there's an image or a word that shows up. And then ask, how do I know that I'm not living in alignment? What does a soul know, feel like, sound like, look like? And then let's just take a few deep breaths just to kind of clear the slate, let go of any sensations that have shown up in your body around this soul no. Then we'll ask our soul one more question. What do you need from me right now? What does your soul need from you right now? Is it to listen? Is it to slow down? Is it to take some type of action? What does your soul need from you right now? And then begin to bring your awareness back to your heart space. You can place a hand on your chest if that feels good. And silently thank your soul for its guidance, its wisdom, for always being there for you. Remember, you are connected always. Sometimes you may just need a little help tuning back into that connection, but know your soul is always there waiting for you. And take a deep breath in, exhale slowly, and begin to bring your awareness back to the rest of your body, to the surface you are sitting or lying down on, to the sounds around you. And when you're ready, you can gently open your eyes. All right, so as you all kind of come back, I'm just going to give you a little time to jot down anything that came up during that meditation. I'll also put some questions into the chat that if it feels helpful to have a little more guidance of what to reflect on, but you're welcome to just jot down whatever came up in the meditation. And then we can spend some time sharing after you all get some time to reflect. So some questions, if it feels helpful, is how did it feel to connect with my soul? What did I notice in my body during the meditation? What guidance or messages did I receive? What is my soul needing from me? And then also, what does a yes and no feel like from my soul? All right. I mean, feel free to continue to take any notes or jot down anything that you want. I wanted to leave some space for people to share any of these questions, answers to these questions, anything that came up during the meditation, including also how messages came to you. You mostly saw things, heard things, felt things, knew things. Does anyone want to share? You can come off mute and share, or you can put it in the chat. You can also just start with like if anyone wanted to share what it felt like to connect with their soul. I'm curious what that was like. It felt like safe, like home. Yeah. And Kelly, you said I received a reminder of how great it feels to allow the connection to take place. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are times where I'm just like, I don't have time to slow down. I don't have time to meditate. And then every time I do that, I'm like, no, that's exactly what I needed, and that's exactly why I needed it because I was so disconnected. And sometimes I'm just like, ugh, there's just like this resistance to doing it, and I can't always explain it. But then when I'm in it, I'm like, I don't want to leave. This feels lovely. Meg, the guidance was gestation or germination. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Paula, simply a sense of peace. Yeah. Yeah. Our souls just like it's holding us oftentimes. Um, I often will feel like compassion, sometimes curiosity, and just like absolute love when I connect with my soul. What about, are there any guidance or messages? I know some people shared that, but anyone else want to share any guidance or messages they received, whether it's about whatever you're focusing on or anything else that came through? Be patient and keep showing up for yourself. Love that. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a good message for all of us. When being guided in alignment, heart expands with joy and you feel energized. Yeah, yeah. That's some clarity for who you are of what it means to be in alignment. Rest and make space for what is important. Make space for creativity. Yeah. Yeah, that creativity, that's such a great thing for our energy body. It's just like such great energy when we're in a creative space. I got an uncontrollable twitch and tingle in my right knee and leg, but no messages. Oh, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's hard to know maybe what those things mean, but I would say that is a message. It might just be hard to know maybe how to interpret that. Um, so maybe as you continue to connect to your soul and your intuition and kind of get more comfortable in the language of spirit, if you will, some of that stuff might just start to be a little bit more understandable. When I was first getting messages, I got a lot of images, and I was like I got a dog once, and I was like, I don't like a dog could mean so many things, and I had to think of like, what did that mean for me? And now I'll get like symbols of like, oh, when I see this, this is what it means. But for a while, I was like, I don't know, I just felt this. Um, and sometimes I'll also notice like what side of the body a sensation is on. Sometimes that can mean something. So if it's on like the left side of the body, sometimes that's connected to like the feminine energy, surrender, slowing down, flow. Right side of the body, more masculine energy, kind of like doing, taking action. So sometimes, let's see what side of the body it showed up on. Right knee. So sometimes when like something happens on the right side of the body, sometimes that could mean to slow down or it could mean to take action. It just kind of depends on how it feels like it's showing up. I received that I could listen more and I still often get stuck in overthinking. Yeah. I bet you listen, Amber, but to your thoughts a lot. Yeah, right? Like sometimes we have to listen to the whispers of our intuition. Like it really can be quiet. One time I was meditating on a decision and I just kept getting so caught up in my thoughts on it. And I just couldn't trust of like, do I actually want to do this thing or do I feel like I need to do this thing? And so I just meditated, clear my mind, and I would like ask the question of like, what should I do about this or give me guidance. And then I got a phone call in the middle of the meditation and I was like, that's annoying. And I like silenced it. And then I was like, wait, that person calling me right now was actually the message. Because one of the things that was like an option was something related to that person. And I was like, oh, okay. So we have to be ready for the answer to come in ways that maybe we don't expect it. Take time to open the Akashic records and hang out there. Yeah, Paula. Such a great place to hang out, not just to get messages, but like the energy of that is so lovely. Oh, Tina, you were saying it's on the right side, felt like a light bulb turning off and on. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. Mm. Yeah, it'll be interesting as you keep tuning into that to see what comes to you. The other thing I just thought of that I haven't mentioned is dreams. Dreams can also be a great way to know like what's going on with our soul and what's important to us. And sometimes I'll also like before I go to bed, I might write like a message, like or a question or a decision that I'm thinking about or trying to decide, and I'll put it by my bedside and then ask for a dream to get some clarity on that. And then I just have to remember the dream to write it down, and then kind of sit in silence and see what I think it means. A very safe space to relax. Message to get more sleep and self care. Yeah. Oof. I'm sure a lot of us could probably always do more self care, right? It's hard in this world. I felt deep comfort and peace. I heard embrace joy. Mm, love that. Yeah, that just makes me Archangel Jophiel's just coming in and kind of like doing a little extra, like absolutely everyone embrace joy. She loves that when we can do that, find joy in the little moments and things, find beauty in things. So I'd love for all of you to think about what are you going to do this week, the next few days that will help you connect more with your soul. Maybe choose one thing And it doesn't have to be you're going to set aside an entire day to do self-care. It could be like, I'm going to take 2 minutes to just take some deep breaths, close my eyes, and try to drop into my body and see what's happening there. Because we got to start somewhere, right? And so it might just be like learning to be in our body, learning to start to quiet the mental chatter, maybe even just carving out a time that we actually focus on ourselves. Maybe that's where we begin because we're so focused on everyone else. But it also could look like journaling and meditation and being in nature, all the things that y'all shared. So identify that one thing and then see if you can make time. Make it a priority, right? You deserve to make yourself a priority. Taking 30 minutes to meditate is best. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you get into really deep meditation, I mean, so many cool things can happen. Your soul can probably travel to different places. But also sometimes people get hung up on that. Like it could just be a 2 minute meditation. Being more consistent with my meditation practice and grounding. Yeah. And I forget who said it. Like sometimes you go kind of in and out of like being in our spiritual practices and our spiritual self. Like that happens. It's not the end of the world. We just kind of notice when we've wandered off that and we've gotten caught up in the day-to-day life and we just try to make one thing like a recommitment to one thing. Like I'm going to try to go to bed earlier just so I can wake up with just have some time to myself in the morning. Carving out time in the morning to align my energy and connect to myself like 5-10 minutes. Yeah. And we can do that at any time in the day. What I find doing in the morning is like sometimes it the day feels differently to me. I don't know if anyone else like experiences that. When I start my day of like connecting to myself and meditate or just like having a centering practice, grounding practice, my day sometimes often flows differently than when I don't do that. Not saying I don't like get like at some point during my day, but like it definitely starts differently. My soul needs to express itself daily, journaling, painting, or breath work. Yeah. Yeah. Creativity. Awesome. Well, I hope all of you can stick to that. Again, just starting one thing is great. I wanted to share my freebie. Amber wants to put that in the chat. It's a meditation to connect to your soul. It's different than this one, where it's more kind of just like sitting in that, spending time with your soul, like being connected and kind of feeling held by your soul. It's really less of a doing and more of a being kind of experience. So feel free to grab that freebie. And yes, thanks, Amber. And you can connect with me on my website. Feel free to also email me. I can also put that in the chat. Sam@samintuitivecoach.com. I love hearing from people. Like if there's anything that came up during today's workshop that you'd love to check in about, just reach out to me. I'm also on social media, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. All my handles are Sam Intuitive Coach. So you're welcome to follow me on those. I'll do like channeled angel messages for the week, meeting the different angels, and just kind of life, relationship, emotions, advice, and stuff like that. So awesome. Thank you so much for joining me and participating in this, connecting to your soul. We have Kelly up next, so we'll take a break. We'll take actually a 9-minute breather. Go grab something to eat and grab something to drink. Maybe spend some time with your soul. And then at 7 o'clock Central, we'll come back and Kelly will kick us off with hers.